You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm just trying to figure out what to do in the middle of the week. There's no basketball game on right now. I feel like everyone's playing basketball, but
I'm gonna say there's no Texas
Tech Red Raiders.
No Texas Tech basketball game, but there's a lot of basketball being played tonight.
Yeah, luckily the Lady Raiders play tomorrow night, so we've got that going. But man, but then they're off next week, so they have a week off in their schedule. So it's just kind of no more Monday Night Football. Just we're officially transitioning into a world without any football whatsoever.
No, that's not true.
Oh, that's right.
The spring football leagues are coming up.
The grand merger, yeah.
And spring practice is around the corner.
What's it called? Global Football League? What is it?
Don't even know which league you're talking about.
Oh yeah, spring football. We should talk about that. I'll look up those details.
See, I was talking about like the American leagues, the
there you go.
USFL, XFL merger.
The
UFL, whatever they all were. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw a commercial with The Rock in it talking about spring football, so wasn't really paying that much attention. But no, and then I was talking about Texas Tech football, so there'll be that football. The Matadors will be playing again this spring.
That's true.
So
baseball, of course, is coming.
3 weeks away.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
Valentine's Day or day before, something like that. It's real close. I should know this.
We should probably know when Valentine's Day is.
Well, I know when Valentine's Day is. I'm trying to see what the schedule is. If the first day is, let's see, schedule. It's on Friday the 16th. So the week of Valentine's, Friday in Arlington versus the Volunteers of Tennessee.
That's a good enough team to start.
Yeah, you got 5 games at Globe Life. 16, 17, 18. So that weekend. And then you're off on Monday. And then you play UTA on Tuesday and Oregon State on Wednesday. So get a week of games at home of the World Series champions Texas Rangers. Before you come back and open up your home slate Friday the 23rd versus Texas Southern. And Gardner-Webb. New Mexico. And then Texas. You got a conference play. Just that fast. But we got basketball to talk about, Michael. We got too much Texas Tech basketball. Not this week. You got one game on Saturday on the road in Norman. And then next Saturday, also on the road in Fort Worth against the Fighting Jamie Dixons.
They are fighting right now. They're clawing back into this game on the road in Stillwater.
Yeah, struggling with the Cowboys in Stillwater. Second half about to start, maybe, or at least halftime right now, down 4 points. But
yeah, halftime started right as we started recording, so it'll be a little bit.
But yeah, got that. We do have some Texas Tech football to talk about tonight, just a little bit. Lots of basketball. Got 2 games to preview. I've got Little League update for everybody because I know everybody loves to hear about youth baseball in Lubbock and how that's going. So I'll oblige. Talk about it and talk about my man Adrian Beltre making it to the Hall of Fame tonight. A little less Texas in your eye if you watch those videos from the Rangers today. Let's do football really quickly, Michael, since we're here, and then we'll spend the bulk of the episode of basketball, which is what we normally do. But we talked last week about Steve Linton hitting the transfer portal, committed this weekend to Baylor. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us.
Yeah, he wasn't hurt this season, was he? It was just
Yeah, no, he was for a little bit.
okay, because I knew that we expected a little bit more of an impact from Linton, and my memory's terrible, so I wasn't going to assume that he was available the whole season. But uh, it wasn't not a lot popped out on the stat sheet just because I thought, well, let me run through what he was able to do while he was here. So he played in, let's see, what is that, 8 games, had 13 tackles in those 8 games. And his best game, as far as that's concerned, was at Wyoming, game 1. He had 4 tackles. Uh, 22 total if you include the assists, so 13 solo. But I don't know. I just think, like you said, I'm kind of hoping this doesn't come back to bite us. It could be maybe he truly did or will fit better in a different system. And I can't even remember. Does Tech play Baylor
I
next year?
believe so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Um,
imagining he'll start. I don't see why. I mean, I have not inspected Baylor's roster, but I would imagine he'd be a starter day one, pretty much, or at
pretty
least in the
close.
two deep.
Yeah, you play Baylor in Lubbock this year.
Okay.
The full schedule hasn't been released, but we know home and away. So your home schedule is Arizona State, which is going to be a non-conference game this year. No, sorry,
Wait.
non-conference in baseball this spring,
Okay.
conference in football this fall. Arizona State, Baylor, Cincinnati, Colorado, West Virginia are your home games. So not a super exciting home slate outside of getting a couple or 3 new guys. But then your away schedule is Arizona, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, TCU. So
Well, that just means they'll probably lower the season ticket prices.
you would hope. But they'll also probably sell like, hey, we're playing 7 home games. So
Oh, that's true. Well, and it's the new South End Zone project is complete.
will it be?
I thought so. I thought it was
Yes, yes,
going to be
it will be.
complete before the season started.
You're right. It will be. Oh my gosh, my kids. I'm so over their behavior today. They're outside the door here screaming about something, and who knows? A 3-year-old should be long asleep, but he's announcing to the world some kind of slight he just had to endure from his older brother.
Mm. Yep.
You know how that wouldn't happen if y'all were asleep, like you should be. Other football roster announcements. You gained a transfer commitment or a transfer from Rice defensive tackle DeBraylon Carroll. He'd be a grad transfer. Will have 1 year of eligibility left. And before you roll your eyes and say he's coming from Rice, know that according to PFF, he graded out better, significantly better than any of your current defensive tackles, including Tony Bradford and Jalen Hutchings. And we know how great and indispensable they were to your defensive line this year.
Wow.
He graded out as an 80.7. Tony Bradford was the highest on your list at 72.3. Duda Banks, 69.6. Jalen Hutchings, 68.8. Quincy Ledet, 67. But DeBraylon Carroll, almost an 81. So get excited about that one.
Do you
So
think the PFF accounts for? I guess it has to. I guess it accounts for teammates and other teams as well, or because it sounds like he's obviously a really bright spot on that defense. But
he was.
but to be yeah, I know but to be graded that much higher than Tony Bradford seems almost shocking to
Yeah.
me.
Um,
Wow, big shoes to fill. So
yeah.
we'll take
So
it.
he's going to step into a talented, but albeit maybe thin in terms of upperclassmen defensive lineman group. You've got a lot of guys that are young and guys that you're excited about. But maybe not both that are you're excited about and that are old. or just not that many old guys, but he's going to add one to you, one of those. And then the Nevada transfer, James Hansen, will also be an older guy to add into your rotation of Duda Banks, Ledet, McAlpine, Amir Washington, and those guys. If you look at his tape, like he had a heck of a game against Texas. I think he had like a sack and a half, a lot of pressures. I think he recorded something like 45 solo tackles on the season, which is just insane from a defensive tackle perspective.
It is.
Because usually they're only asked to
Stopping
kind
stuff
of,
before it starts.
yeah, they're asked to hold up the offensive line and keep the linebackers free so they can make plays. He also was able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, something you were wishing your defensive line could do. So I'm actually excited about that, about the addition of DeBraylon Carroll. So grad transfer, I would assume he's here now, but if he's here in the summer, I'm less concerned about that. Yes, there will be a step up from competition in from Rice to the Big 12, but if he's not here in the summer, like he's an old guy. Like he'll know how to handle his business and make that transition. He's not a young guy. He's not coming from JUCO. He played at Duncanville in high school, so he's used to some pretty top level competition and talent. And finally, spring game. Talking about spring football. Unfortunately, with the construction in Jones AT&T Stadium, not sure why they're not holding it locally, but the spring game will be Saturday, April 20th, 1 p.m. at Astound Broadband Stadium in Midland. So not that far of a drive if you want to take in an afternoon in Midland, Texas, coming from Lubbock. I know there have been several spring practices and mock spring games in Midland before, very well attended. Starting back with Kingsbury, I think Wells had some as well. This one's a little bit of a necessity with the construction, but you also have stadiums here in town that could probably host enough people for a spring game. But
Yeah, I mean they had it at Lowry last year because for the same reason. So
that's
I
right.
do kind of find it interesting.
I didn't go to last year's.
Kingsbury would do this. Obviously, he didn't have any sort of construction or this level of construction interfering at this time of year. But I think when Kingsbury did it, he still held something in Lubbock.
Oh,
I
for
know
sure,
that
yeah.
the few times at the Star, I don't know if there was stuff at the Star and in Midland and in Lubbock in one year, but I kind of think there was at one point.
I think there was one year he did a air quote spring game type of scrimmage at all three.
I thought so too.
In like consecutive weeks, which if you're gonna set up your spring practices to have three scrimmage, like open scrimmage type practices, all power to you, because I think that was a pretty great road show, if you will, to get fan bases and obviously Lubbock, but Midland, Odessa area, and even further down in the Permian Basin to get up to Midland, and then in the DFW area.
Yeah, I haven't been to Midland in years, except for Thursday. I went for a meeting and actually drove right by that stadium.
There you go.
Just by happenstance, so I know where it is. There's a
checked it out.
There's a Potbelly's pretty close. There's a Raising Cane's.
You found out where the 23 Personnel podcast tailgate will be. So
oh yeah, reserved a spot. I put a cone.
Put a cone there with the logo.
Put a cone there. Yeah, and it's just your face.
Oh, great. We'll be tired of seeing that next 3 months.
It's fine. It's still there. I'm sure it is.
So, all right. Yeah, let's move on to basketball then. You had a heck of a game on Saturday. We're not going to go into all that too much in depth. I'm keeping an eye on the BYU game. They had it down to a 6-point game. A 3-point game. It was 46-43, but Houston's gone on a quick 8-0 run to push it 54-43 right now with 13 minutes to go. They had a weird succession of timeouts that were right around the under 16. So that was probably really brutal TV to watch, because I think Houston took one at like 16-10. And then BYU took one like 16:01 or something. They're like three TV timeouts in a row.
Yeah, then the under 16 time.
The under 16. But You came out victorious. I think it was Kyle. I'm sure it was because he was looking at some of the in-game win percentages, win probabilities, or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
He was showing or talking about how it bottomed out for Texas Tech. Their chances were lowest it's ever been in a game that you ended up winning at 5% this past weekend versus BYU. It had gotten low in other games where you came back and won, but down 17. Not much else could happen for it to get any lower. But for you to go on to win. So you are 15-3, 4-1 in Big 12 play, sitting atop first place in the Big 12 standings for now, at least. Kansas State plays tomorrow. They are also in first place. Who else is up there? That's it. So just you and Kansas State. If Kansas State wins, they'll move ahead half a game. If they lose, then you'll move ahead half a game. But you don't, again, obviously play until Saturday versus Oklahoma. They are 3-3 in conference play. They dropped their matchup tonight at home versus Texas. So maybe a little chink in the armor there, able to pick something up. Or maybe they're going to be fired up and ready to take you on. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out for you. But as of the latest update to the rankings, there are 7 Big 12 teams that are ranked in the AP Top 25. There were 8 last week. TCU did fall out of the rankings. Houston tops it at 4, Kansas at 7, Oklahoma at 11, Baylor 15, Texas Tech 20. So they moved up 5 spots. BYU 21, Iowa State 23. So that is your update on the top of the standings of the Big 12, and then the rankings, 7 teams. Haslametrics, let's get you Texas Tech related. Haslametrics has you at 34th. They're 34th best team. No movement from last week where you went 1-1. You got demolished by Houston, but you had a pretty impressive win, bounce back, had at home versus BYU. Ken Palm moved you down 1 spot, 30 to 31st. Your adjusted offense did take a pretty significant step forward. You went from 30th to 23rd, which is a breath of fresh air to see your offense so highly ranked in these advanced metrics. It's been a while since you've had this kind of offense, if ever. Defense did take a step back, but you played 2 very highly offensive-minded teams. Not that Houston doesn't play defense; they're really good at both, but they're really good offensively. And then BYU, my goodness. So your defense went from 42nd to 56th, and tempo is at 281. BPI dropped you a couple spots, 26 to 29, 3 to be exact. T-Rank did not move you, but I wanted to add in their offensive efficiency rating has you at 16, defensive efficiency rating at 83rd, and they have a pretty early projection as a 7 seed for Texas Tech for the tournament there in March. Net rankings move you up a couple spots, 37 to 35. Both games last week were quad 1, and you split those, so you're now 2-3 in quad 1 games, and quads 2, 3, and 4 are unchanged, undefeated in anything but quad 1 games. Let's look at this weekend's matchup, Michael. Looking at the Sooners traveling to Norman. They did lose tonight versus Texas by 15 points at home. It's pretty significant for them, being they were 11th ranked, and Texas is unranked. Led by Porter Moser, already in his 3rd season there, 49-36, 15-26 in Big 12 play. But remember, they've been punching up, been pretty competitive team, although their win-loss record does not reflect that. But I think they're moving the right direction. Obviously, at 15-3 so far this season. Sorry, 15-4 now, 3-3 in Big 12 play. They are led by their guards. They're a pretty guard-heavy team, at least from what I was able to tell. Led by Siena transfer guard Javion McCollum, small guy, 6'2", 160, but just under 15 points a game, shooting 45% from the field, 37.5% from 3, and 93% from the free throw line. So you don't want to leave him open. You don't want to foul him. Plays 31 minutes a game, 4 assists, 3 rebounds a game. So He's good to go for 15 points a night and not much else. And the other guard, Otega Owe, 6'5", 215, 14.1 points per game. Doesn't shoot the volume that McCollum does, but 55% shooter from the floor, almost 60% from three. Now that's on 27 attempts. So it's like, it's not 18 or 27, but it's something like that. It's pretty close. But he's attempted 27 attempts all year, and then 72% from the line. For whatever reason, this was a guy, as I was putting this together, I was like, this has the makings of like an OA. This dude putting up like 24 points on like 7 of 8 shooting from three or something. Plays 20.
Some form of career high.
Yeah, probably.
Career high attempts, points, percentage made, whatever.
All the above, maybe. 26 minutes a game, 1 assist, 4 rebounds per game. One thing I noticed, not a really great assist team. And that's held out on their assist to turnover ratio. They have a 1.1 assist to turnover ratio, Michael, which is horrendous. We talked about last week. Most teams are 1.4, 1.5. Good teams like BYU last week, they were 2.0.
2, yeah.
Yeah. Oklahoma, very close to a 1-to-1 ratio on assists to turnovers, and they turn the ball over a lot. TCU turns it over more, but Oklahoma turns it over 13 times a game. They just don't. Their offensive system just isn't set up to move the ball around to get a lot of assists. They are 21st in Haslam. They're scoring almost 74 points a game, giving up 68. Nope. That was a Haslametric projection. Haslametric has you losing this one on the road, at least as of this afternoon, 63.6 to 68.1. They're scoring almost 80 points a game, giving up 65. They don't have a lot of assists, but they shoot really well from the floor, 48.5%. Decent defensive showing from them, 39 and almost 40%. They allow their other team to shoot, but they shoot 35% from three. They allow 28%, which is a pretty big drop there. 76% from the free throw line, and they attempt almost 20 free throws a game. So they are a drive happy team. We talked about Kansas State being a team that takes a lot of drives into the paint and gets a lot of free throw attempts. Oklahoma does that more. TCU does that even more. I was really surprised when I saw that, which we'll get to that in a second. A pretty good rebounding team, 38 rebounds a game. They only give up 30. They don't turn, well, they turn the ball over and they force almost as many to turnovers. So it's 13.1 turnovers per game do they commit, and they force 12.6. So they're on the wrong side of that ratio, but it's pretty close to 1-to-1. They do disrupt the opposing team. There are other starters to look out for. Again, one of these guys is probably going to put up career night. Forward Jalen Moore, 6'7", 225, just under 10 points a game, but he shoots 54% from the field, 41% from three, 80% from the line in only 22 minutes. So watch out for forward Jalen Moore to go like 35 minutes, put up 22 points. Guard Milo Suzan, 6'4", 195, just about 9 points a game, shoots 40% from the field. Not a three-point shooter, 28%, and then 65% from the free throw line. And then their big guy, Wofford transfer, Sam Godwin, 6'10", 235, 7 points a game. Doesn't take a lot of shots, but when he does, 66%, has not attempted a three. So maybe he breaks the lid open on that. And almost 70% from the line. So this is a 2-possession win for Oklahoma, at least it was, according to Haslametrics this afternoon. Maybe that takes a slight hit after what the Sooners were able to put on tape today, but then again, maybe not. Maybe they're gonna be a little fired up to bounce back after losing to their rival Texas tonight. Big at home. They don't want to lose 2 in a row at home.
Yeah, and especially, the way in which they lost it. Texas kind of got off to an early, I believe it was a 9-point lead in the first half, and OU was able to come back from that and go into halftime up, actually up. So they took the lead and they maintained it. Texas kind of fought back. I think during that stretch it was something crazy like a 15-4 run that OU had. So they're capable of this, but then Texas just came out the second half and just completely wiped the floor with them. Unfortunately, I mean they scored 43 to OU's 27 in the second half. I wanted to look at some comparisons. So like the second half, first half OU shot 40% from the field and 20% from three. So they never were really good, and then they just kind of stuck with that same amount the rest of the time. Whereas Texas just took off, and they were shooting, for the night. I think they shot 50% from the field and 44% from three. So OU just they were able to fight back in that first half, but then it didn't. Their offense didn't really improve, and Texas's did, and just could not contain it.
Yeah. So I think if you can weather a bounce back from Oklahoma and not allow one of these guys that shoots just insane numbers, if always it continues to shoot almost a 60% clip from three, but he only attempts three of them, I think you'll live with that. But if he is shooting 60% and he puts up 10 or something like that, or if your halftime adjustments, whatever it is that you've been so good at this season, your timeout adjustments, if they're not enough to keep you in it, against a quality ranked opponent on the road, I think it'll be a close game. 3-4 points seems about right to me, but that's just me saying, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I want to see this team continue to win and do well on the road. I think Oklahoma's good. I'm not like intimidated or scared by their top 15 ranking. All teams in the Big 12 are scary night in, night out.
Yes.
I think Texas Tech is maybe undervalued at 34. But it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
I would love it more if the game was in Lubbock, but you'll have a chance Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. ESPN Plus, to see how Grant McCasland gets his guys going on the road. And then I said next Saturday, the following Saturday. No, I meant Tuesday night. Before we hit record, we'll be doing an instant reaction next week after the TCU game. TCU is 13-5, 2-3 on this season. They are currently in action.
Yeah, it's tied. It's tied 49 and in Stillwater. And at one point, Oklahoma State was up by 17 in the first half and then just went ice completely cold. And TCU pretty much did away completely with that lead before halftime. So going into halftime, what was at one point a 17-point lead, Oklahoma State carried a 4-point lead into halftime, 37-33. And right now, TCU made a couple free throws, so they're up 51-49 with 13 minutes left. So I couldn't believe that. I mean, no lead is safe in this league. That's what I was trying to spit out. We've seen that firsthand as Texas Tech fans against BYU and against Kansas State, especially. And I think even against Texas and Austin, there was a decent lead early. So I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I watched a good chunk of this first half and thought, well, that's it. Oklahoma State's just going to run away with it. And no, it's just bizarre. Every team's capable of these crazy 8-0, 12-0, 14-0 runs. Any given second, you just don't
20-0.
Yes. Yeah.
That's haunting, man. Give a 20-0 run. The end of half too. Golly.
Yeah.
BYU's fighting back, man. They're down by 4 at the under 8 timeout. I think they got like 6.5 to go. Yeah, so you're on the road Tuesday night at TCU, 6 p.m. ESPN2. You want to punch Jamie Dixon in the face. He's been there 8 years now, 152 and 102, 53 and 76 in Big 12 play. Currently, they are 2-3 in Big 12 on this year, depending on how the game goes tonight. But that may be a little deceiving. They're actually a lot closer games than you would think. They lost at Kansas by 2 points. They're to open up Big 12 play, 83-81. They beat a good Oklahoma team at home, 80-71. They won at home versus Houston by a point, 68-67. They took a overtime loss at Cincinnati by 4. They lost to Iowa State, and this serves them right. They had a blackout game. Why? Why would you have a blackout game? Black's not in your
TCU
colors.
had a blackout game.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, I thought it could be Iowa State. They like to claim black as one of their colors sometimes.
But this was a home game. They lost at home to Iowa State. So you think you see they've got some chinks there. Well, I say that they lost a home game. Iowa State blackout game, but they lost by 1 point. So all of their losses, 2 points at Kansas, overtime by 4 points at Cincinnati, and then home by 1. So 9 total points and 3 losses. And they're in a close one right now on the road in Stillwater. If you look at the roster, they've had 3 guys start all 18 games. This is going to be before tonight. I didn't check who's in the starting lineup, but those guys are Emmanuel Miller, Texas Tech transfer Micah Peavy, and then Kansas transfer big man Ernest Uday. They've got 4 guys that score in double figures. TCU is a very good offensive team. They've got 4 guys scoring double figures. Emmanuel Miller forward, 16 points per game, almost 50% from the field, almost 40% from 3, 85% from the free throw line, plays 31 minutes a game, 6 rebounds a game. He's got 10 blocks on the year, so almost 1 per game, 1 every other game.
He's got 18 points tonight so far.
Golly. And they got like 12 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So Miller's their do everything guy. He's that 6'7", 220, 215. He's gonna be everywhere. Guard Jameer Nelson Jr., 6'2", 205, 11 points per game, 44% from the field. Not a 3-point shooter, only 25.5%, 70% from the line. Doesn't play a ton of minutes, almost 24 minutes a game. Has 11 starts, but was one of the guys that's leading their team in terms of scoring. Micah Peavy, 6'8", 215, so the big guy, but he's listed as a guard instead of a forward. Almost 11 points per game, 10.7, almost 50% from the field. As y'all remember, not a 3-point shooter. He's not developed that game just yet. 26% from 3, 60% from the free throw line at 28.5 minutes a game. And then Jacoby Coles is another big guard, 6'8", 215. They have a lot of guys on the roster about that same size, which I know we're all familiar with having that kind of approach. But 10.5 points per game. But he hasn't scored in double figures since Georgetown, and they played them back on December 2nd. So a good 6 weeks ago. But to tell you how hot he was in early part of the season, to still be scoring or averaging in double figures, and he hasn't scored more than 9 points in 6 weeks. But he shoots 48% from the field, almost 40% from 3, and 72% from the free throw line. So don't let him get hot. The other starter is Kansas transfer forward Ernest Uday. He's not an offensive threat, which is surprising, but 6'11", 260, almost 5 points a game at 60% shooting from the field, which is crazy. He's attempted 45 shots, Michael, on the year. I think we've had guys that have attempted 45 shots this week.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, in 18 games, and I don't know the numbers for tonight, he's attempted 45 shots, has not attempted a 3, has only 55% from the free throw line. Obviously used as a defensive role player, but he's a starter. Gets not even 17 minutes a game, 6 rebounds, and has 15 blocks on the season. So as of today, TCU is projected as a home favorite here by 6. Not because of the home environment. I think that'll be Not that intimidating for our Red Raiders, but they are a very talented offensive team, and your defense is, while good, has not been a strong suit this season, which is kind of crazy to say.
No, it hasn't. And to back up what you're saying about Uday not being necessarily an offensive uh, contributor to that team right now tonight, he only has 10 minutes in the game. He started.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been watching the game, so I'm not really sure. He's got 2 fouls, so that could have something to do with it. But only played 10 minutes, has 4 rebounds, and is 0 for 1 from the field. No points.
Which is wild that they, like, Jamie Dixon doesn't like have some offensive sets set up to get the ball to a nearly
Yeah.
7-footer down
Well,
low.
it just for some reason he's not playing him tonight. I don't get it, but that's obviously because I'm not watching, and even if I was watching, I may not be able to understand it.
And maybe he's hurt and just limited
That's
on his
true.
minutes.
Maybe he
But
went out, or he's banged up or something. But he did start, so
yeah. BYU still holding tough. 4 points, 4.5 minutes to go there in Provo at the Marriott Center. Again, as long as these guys that average just absolutely insane shooting, if they don't go off and take just a bunch of attempts and keep up those trends, I like your ability here to maybe sneak a road game. If I had to choose which one I would prefer, like, I would prefer you win the game in Fort Worth, because I think that would look better for your resume to win that one on the road than if you were to lose that game but win the one in Norman. Like, I think losing, well, I don't know, actually, let me talk myself out of this, because losing on the road probably won't hurt you much at all in either one of these games. So maybe winning at a highly ranked OU would be better than winning at a lower ranked TCU would hurt you, if that makes sense.
yeah, I could see it going either way. But I was still just shocked to see Tech move up 5 spots in the rankings after taking
What
a
Houston
beating
did you?
in Houston.
I mean,
That was just like par for the course. Apparently, the voters just thought, "Oh well, yeah, that's going to happen. That's the way basketball goes."
but maybe
Sometimes.
they were really impressed with the game against BYU.
Well, and they must have been, because BYU to come back the way Tech did and to kind of stifle that offense the way they did. That was no easy feat, but I think they also love Houston, because Houston hardly moved after. They're still
Yeah.
in the top 5 after their losses. So I will take the Big 12 bias. Bring it on. Is this what
Love
it
it.
feels like to be
The
Florida
SEC. Yeah.
in football season? Like, you're really not that good, but hey, you beat Auburn. The one time you play them every 3 fortnights, 4 score, whatever it is.
Every 13 years.
Played them. You beat them, and you beat South Carolina. Man, top 10 team, baby.
Yeah. TCU, really quickly to wrap up this little bit of the preview. TCU scoring 83 points a game, giving up 69. They're shooting 48.5% from the field, just like Oklahoma is, but they're not as good defensively. They allow teams to shoot 43.3%. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, 34.6%. To compare, Texas Tech is 36.7% from 3. They do take a ton of free throw attempts. We mentioned that earlier. 22.3 free throw attempts per game. They connect on 73% of them. They're pretty decent rebounding the ball, 39 rebounds per game. They give up 32. They do turn the ball over a lot, 13.4 turnovers per game, but they turn over their opponent 16 times per game. So you got to take care of the ball. I think they turn a lot of those turnovers into fast break points for them. Because like I said, they're offensively, they're scoring a bunch of points. They're not great on defense, but they are good at turning the ball over and forcing turnovers. On the road, though, in the Big 12 is always going to be a tough task. You could go 0-2 these next 2 games, and that wouldn't be the end of the world. I would love a split. I would love to go 2-0, but I think if you could split, it would be fantastic to steal one of these. because it would be an upset to win one of these games on the road. If you could split here, that would be fantastic to get you to 5-2 in Big 12 play at almost halfway through. Not that your schedule gets any easier, but
Right. Well, and TCU, we talked about how good their offense is, and you mentioned their 3-point percentage isn't earth shattering, but man, tonight it's awful. They're 2 of 12,
oof.
and they just made their second one. While I was sitting here looking at this, they just made their second three of the night. So they're shooting 17% and are still tied 59 on the road. That three tied it. And Oklahoma State, they're winless in Big 12 play. They're dead last, 0
Ofer.
5. So to go on the road and then you struggle from three in the way they have, and to bounce back from being down by 17 in the first half, TCU is going to be a tough team to play in their house. And I kind of like Tech's chances a little bit better against OU. I feel like this offense, once it's firing on all cylinders, possibly in front of a home crowd, it may be a little bit harder to stop. But I'm with you. I would take 1-1 if I had to flip a coin. I'd probably take that as opposed to just playing the games. If TCU and Oklahoma wanted to forfeit these, or if TCU forfeited them just because, I guess, because it's something they do.
It is what they do. I don't know if you saw it. What was it last week? They
did.
forfeited a couple women's games for
They did.
whatever reason. They said they didn't have enough people to compete, but they did. I don't know. I don't know the full story, and I don't really care to know, but
yeah. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much or anything. It sounds bad. If there's that many players that got hurt at practice to a point where they couldn't play a game, what the hell happened?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing? Are we just? I can't even imagine what that would be. So speaking of, just real quick, let me do a quick Lady Raider recap. So
Yeah, please.
Not going super well, but also relative to previous years and kind of where Gerlich's headed, and with a younger team, holding their own. I mean, they're 8th in the conference right now. Not great. 14-6 overall, 3-4 in Big 12. But they did knock off number 24 Iowa State last Wednesday, and then lost badly to a bad BYU team. I don't want to say bad, but not a great BYU team on the road. It was during the same exact time as the men played BYU here in Lubbock, but they lost that one 46-60. I think they only had 8 points in the fourth quarter. Just a rough day. So they get to bounce back this week. So this is where you go if you're in Lubbock and you can get out there. 6:00 Wednesday night versus Houston. Tune in if you can't. Get your basketball fix, and then you've got 2 games to watch. We've gone over Tech playing TCU on the road. Well, the Lady Raiders will host TCU here at 2 p.m. on Saturday, and then they're off for a week, so they don't play again until the following Saturday, February 3rd, at the home of Skyline Chili, Cincinnati, 1 p.m. February 3rd. And as always, follow Seeing Scarlet. Follow them on Twitter. Find them on Instagram. Find their podcast wherever you download podcasts, wherever you downloaded this podcast. And be sure to subscribe and get more detailed analysis and updates from them. They've had some really good recruiting updates this week too. They on some visits of some big time players coming up to Lubbock this weekend.
Yep. Quick game update. TCU has tied it. Not TCU. BYU has tied it. 2:12 to go in Provo. 68 all. Houston with the ball. I mentioned schedule moving forward. So you've got TCU in Fort Worth next Tuesday. That following Saturday, so a week from this upcoming Saturday, back home versus Cincinnati, on the road at Baylor, home versus UCF, home versus Kansas, at Iowa State, home versus TCU, at UCF, home versus Texas, at West Virginia, at Oklahoma State, home versus Baylor to wrap it up. You have a stretch there where you get Cincinnati, UCF, and Kansas 3 of 4 at home between February 3rd and February 12th. So in 9 days, you get 4 games. 3 of those will be at home. If you can win all those home games,
yes, which is the big if in this league. I mean, Cincinnati just went up to Lawrence last night,
and UCF is no slouch. But
yeah, and I mean, if they'd have made a 3, they were like 0 for 8 on threes in the second half. If they'd have made 1 or 2 of those, they'd have won the ball game. They lost by 5. They were tied at halftime. It was close the whole time. So yeah, it's Cincinnati's record may not be the best, but don't let them fool you. UCF's that same type of team. They're sneaky, and I'm not going to pencil. I know that's not what you're saying. I'm not going to pencil in a win for any of these, but would much rather have them at home.
Oh, for sure.
That's a good stretch. That's a good stretch to have some home games.
Yeah. BYU doing well to hold off Houston right now. Still tied, about a minute to go. Houston just took their last timeout. Final minute, man. Tied. BYU's cooking right now.
TCU and Oklahoma State are still tied with 7:27 left, tied at 61.
There you go. Let's it feels weird. Let's start wrapping this thing up, man. Let's get to what do we learn, and maybe set up for some instant reaction this weekend. What do you say? I was like, did he hear me? Is he waiting for me to play it? All right, let's do it.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
All right, so first, our man, the one and only Adrian Beltre, inducted to the National Baseball Hall of Fame on his first ballot. That's just amazing. Love that. Obviously, played a lot of his career with the Rangers. Did play some for the Dodgers. But Rangers fans will know he held down that third base spot for many, many years. You could tell how much he loved and respected the game, and then just how much fun he had playing. But he was also just so dang good. It's fantastic offensive bat, fantastic defensive glove. It's a great teammate. I mean, all the way around. So super excited about that. Happy for him, his family. They were there. They took the phone call that welcomed him to the Hall of Fame. And even then, like in true Adrian Beltre fashion, like with the guy that was calling him from the Hall of Fame, he made a joke. And I wish I could remember it, but like, he made a joke with him. I was just like, that's so Adrian Beltre. And then Little League update, because I know everybody loves to hear about it. Y'all know I'm volunteering for our league's board, which doesn't mean any of you guys, but I will just say, at least for us here in Lubbock, signups are coming to a close this week. If you've got kids like 4 to 12 years old, even older, it's time to sign them up for baseball, guys. Let's get out there. Let's get playing. Games will start the Monday after spring break. Obviously, Little League is not a. Sorry, I wouldn't say it's not competitive. It is. It can be really competitive, and it can be really developmental too. So it's a good mix to get your feet wet if you haven't played baseball, or if your family hasn't played baseball. It's a great way to get involved with it. You have the wide spectrum of experience there. We can have great coaching and great fun and great kids all the way around. See if you like baseball, or if your kids like baseball, or you just want them active and outside. Let's do it. I will be at Cardinals this weekend. Siding little ones up. Come see us. 9 to 3.
9 to 3 Cardinals.
I won't be there the whole time. I'll be there like 9 to 11. I got too many birthday parties to get to be there all day.
That's right. It's birthday Saturday. That's right.
I've got 3 of them.
Good.
Back to back to back, starting at 10. So I won't be able to watch all the game live, but
it's such a
sacrifice,
full day, my friend.
It is. But if you're on the fence, man, let's do it. Let's get out and play some baseball. If you're in the Cooper League, you'll play with us. And how much fun will that be? Me to be screaming at my kids from the bleachers, like, I know that guy. He's an idiot here as well as on the podcast. He's the same. You're right. I'm the same. But I'm also on the board, so I can have people removed, and I'm not afraid to wield that power. Like, hey, board member here, you just got to go.
You do. You get drunk with power when it.
Do you should have seen me as an umpire last year. I was ejecting people left and right just for. Hey, Blue. Yeah, you're gone. Yeah, I was just saying, what's up? I haven't seen. You're that's enough, Coach. You're gone.
It's enough, Mom. Get.
Samantha, what are you doing here? Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. I may or may not umpire this year. Very, very limited. I said I would help out in emergencies only because I've got too much going on. But of course, we're like, well, what can you do with this? No. Emergency. Like if I'm already at the field with my gear, which will be rare, and I'm doing like board duty, then yeah, sure, I will step on a field and help cover a game. But I did get a couple of my friends interested and involved with umpiring. We had our first little meeting tonight. I came back and the kids were just destroyed the house and destroyed Samantha's nerves. Like, I won't be able to do this every week, guys, but want to make sure y'all got connected and y'all went to the meetings. But, oh gosh, my phone going off on the table. Just if you're interested at all, it's not expensive. It's not a super long league. It's fun. It's baseball. I love it. You should too. What did you learn, Michael?
Man, I didn't write anything down because I can't think. I don't know what I learned this week. I learned that it's hard to get back into working out. You've kind of taken almost a year off, basically. But yeah, that's probably the thing I learned the most. It's really tough. I need to find some more shows to watch. I did learn this though, and hopefully this doesn't dox me too much. But I'll I mean, I don't know. You can Google this. So there is a certain type of credit card if you have it. And if you use it to pay for your Peacock subscription, which I happen to, and I wasn't really thinking about it, you get $3 off a month. So my Peacock subscription with tax and all is $3.48 until I think March or May of 2025.
Wow.
So I think we're a Peacock family for a while just because it's so cheap. And my wife keeps finding stuff to watch on there, and I'm finding stuff to watch on there, and just okay, well, I guess we'll just have this in the rotation now because it's less than a cup of coffee.
A lot of things are less than a cup of coffee these days.
I know,
if we're being honest.
That's true. It's more than a gallon of gas, but couldn't have said that over the summer. I don't think.
Just barely though. So
yeah, so $3.48 a month. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll watch some commercials and they got me, man. Big.
We have enough.
Universal, big General Electric, whoever the hell owns it all now. They got me with that one Patrick Mahomes game. That was all it took.
We have enough shows that we're trying to watch on other platforms that, like, one, we didn't want to add another streaming service, but we recently started Monk.
Oh man, it's seasons and seasons of that show, right?
Yeah, we're in season 1. We just finished Loki season 2. We started watching. It was good. It was weird. It was not as good as a first season.
Yeah.
They started messing with like like getting into time traveling, and I
I
don't
really
know.
liked the first season, but I just felt like I just didn't I just didn't believe that they could pull it off again, and so I hadn't given it a chance. That's my fault.
It's
But
like I said, it's not as good as the first one. I don't think. And I love the science fiction stuff, and I like the story of trying to attempt time travel, all the mess you can create with it. But it was pretty tough to follow at times. Um, I watched a couple episodes of the Nick Fury one. Um, but it was like it was graphic and gory enough. And I was like, no, I'm no longer interested in this show.
we're good here.
I mean, we probably watched 3 episodes. Like, yeah, we're good. Which is strange. Like, you didn't have to go through the weird roundabout ways to get through it. The Disney parental filters, because there are some shows you have to you have to go
Yes.
turn off your parental filters to actually find it.
Yes.
And it's not one of those, but like they were showing people like I don't know, it was just gratuitous violence and gore. Like, we didn't need that. Like, they were torturing a guy in a cooler and cut his finger off, and um,
The Marvel show.
murdering people. Like, they walked somebody out, like walked him out of a car and into the woods and like executed them. It was like uh, Kobe Smulders' character was killed in a very close up action. Like, it was like,
Oh, spoiler.
well, it's not like in episode 1, man.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was wondering. I was surprised that she was even doing it. Still,
Well, she did 1 episode.
that makes sense now. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you were gonna tell me about
Um,
this big character arc she had or something. Oh no,
no, she does.
she worked.
No, it
for
was just
She worked for 5 days and
yeah,
then left.
made tens of thousands of dollars probably.
Probably.
But yeah, it was just like it's one of those shows where like anyways. So we step back like we'll watch something that's a little more family friendly. Not because we weren't watching it with the kids, but like Samantha and I were just watching it on ourselves on our own. We're like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, this is making us like we're not. This makes us feel weird. And
I've kind of reached. It's taken a while and it's been like a slow burn, but I think I've reached full saturation with Marvel everything. I think I knew it was going to happen once Phase 1 was over or whatever. Endgame
mhm.
was over. I knew that it was going to happen, but then I mean they definitely pulled me in with WandaVision and with Loki and man, what was the other one? Oh, I did like Hawkeye quite a bit,
I didn't watch that one.
but then I've just kind of that's it. That's all I can do. I
All
did
right.
like the Spider-Man movies. I did watch whatever the last one was.
Far From Home,
Or No
Where-
Way Home.
No Way Home, where they had the crossover with the other Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Um, Houston holds on and wins 75-68.
But yeah, I have no interest in Echo or in Moon Knight or in Loki season 2 or I've reached it. I think I've hit it.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing much with. Well, there are some like quintessential like comedic Loki moments in season 2.
Sure.
'Cause that's just the character he is. But yeah, man, it was just when we, like I said, when we watched what was it called? Whatever the one we were just watching with
It's
Fury.
just called Fury, right? Oh no, Secret
Secret
Wars
Invasion.
or
Secret Invasion. This some alien
I don't know.
invasion.
I don't even know what timeline we're on now. What
It's after the blip.
impossible.
It's
It's
after.
impossible to keep up.
I don't know. It's weird. We didn't like it. Any more shows I can spoil for anybody? Monk isn't new, but
Yeah, my wife
Let's see.
started watching Suits. I think she found that on Peacock. 'Cause it's impossible to keep up.
I think it's
It's impossible to keep up.
Suits. I think it's 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 Suits. I think
and we watched Vigil, which is a short 6-episode season that we both really enjoyed. We kind of binged that the first weekend. And I've been watching Poker Face, which I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but really like. It's got a cool vibe, mystery and whatnot, and some good actors and people just kind of poking in for an episode and then heading out. But finished Fargo, the latest Fargo, and I'm watching The Bear, and I'm watching Bosch Legacy because I can't.
How do you
but
keep up with all these shows, man? I've got like 2 that I can track at once. I'm just like, this is too much.
I have an app called TV Time where I help. Like, oh, I've got 45 minutes. What am I watching again? And I open that app. Oh yeah, I'm watching Bosch Legacy. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. All right, let me hop back in and we watch that one on
Yeah.
Freevee, or you can watch it on Prime or on Amazon, I guess. But you just watch the commercials. It's no big deal.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. We've got Prime, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus.
Netflix is when we let go of Netflix not too long ago, just because we
Yeah,
felt like
there's
it
just
was.
there's not much on it.
I know, but ever since then, Spencer, it's kind of like, there's really not that many yellow cars on the road, and then you buy a yellow car,
Well, then you
or you
see
think about
everywhere.
it, and then that's all you see are yellow cars. So kind of the same thing's been going on with Netflix. Is I think we canceled it in August, and since then I've seen so many things pop up on Twitter or social media, or all these different series that are coming out, or movies that are exclusively for that platform, or all these other things. Oh man, maybe I should sign back up. And they send me emails to sign back up. So no, I'm a Peacock man right now.
There you go. And well, on that note, that'll do it for us on 23 Personnel Podcast. We hit the hour threshold, so we're good to call it there. Getting you guys ready for the weekend's matchup on the road in Norman against the Sooners. Texas Tech is a dog, but hopefully they will pull it out. And then next Tuesday night, we'll get you an instant reaction following the game in Fort Worth. Hoping for at least a split. For Michael, I'm Spencer. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.